They might keep going here.
Tanking.
All right, Zeka's just going to dive underneath. Doesn't find the chain. There's a headbutt for the kill. They have to throw the kitchen sink at him. Knight's going to trade one back. Oh, God. On. He's going to get knocked up. Zeka finds the chain, and he's got the Spirit Rush as well, so there should be no way out here for Han. Zeka picks up the first one after our shenanigans in the level 1. The bullet time, getting a fair bit of value, but the pulverize is huge. Delight knocks off 3, and the rest of HLE will knock the rest down. Bin is told to leave. Viper chasing him out at night.
What a masterclass from HLE in this first game. Even though I feel like both teams really showed up, and I think we were saying a lot specifically comparatively to the first games yesterday. You know, we saw both teams come into play with a relatively high level, but I am honestly taken aback by how clean HLE played that out. It was great.
So not only did HLE play, I think, as a team very cleanly, it's particularly, and even though this is just game 1, for Peanut a really big moment, because that man, again, had some of his roughest games against BLG, and in this first game, he ran the Rift.
Yeah. I mean, it looked like the LPL #1 seed versus the LCK #1 seed, right? And I mean that in the best possible way. These guys were playing incredibly well. Well, just game 1. We went over the game 1 stuff earlier.
Yeah, we did. Do you want to take a look at some of Peanut's moves? I know, Azale, I think you got a clip from the Illustrator.
Yeah, absolutely. We can take a look at this. I just thought that Peanut played this grub fight really, really well, and it decided a lot of the early game. I just want you to really keep your eyes, obviously, on Viper. They are going to be looking for an engage onto him. We can roll the clip out, but I really wanted to highlight how well the team backs off and actually peels for him. So definitely keep your eyes on Viper as well as Peanut. As Shun is going to move forward, he's going to look for Viper, but the buffer on the E here is going to be critical from Viper. And then notice how we're going to see Peanut move up, and instead of actually trying to run back and peel the Vi himself, he's going to find the bigger target in Knight. And immediately as Knight goes forward, you can actually see him jump right onto Knight, knocks him away, and then he's going to put up the W, which means that if he dashes, he's going to get stunned again. So the follow-up is not there. Viper doesn't even have the summoners forced, and you can see on the other side, Zeka piles in, Delight piles in. They cut off all the follow-up, which is where the main threat is coming for, and I just think it's beautiful team fighting from Peanut.
On the flip side, On tried to engage, and Delight actually got the intended Alistar interaction right, interrupted the crash down, which didn't give another out on the opposite end team fight for BLG.
Yeah, and I think the big thing for us in terms of setting up this Peanut revenge arc, right, is we were like, okay, how well is he going to perform when the pressure is on? He talked about it in his own interview. And if this game 1 is any indication, we're getting domestic Peanut here on the international stage. This was the first time we saw him absolutely beast a team fight, but it certainly wasn't the last.
Yeah, in terms of milestones, now 10th in terms of assists at Worlds passing.
He passed Gorilla.
Yeah.
His old teammate, one of his fellow Rocks Tigers. And Azil and I were actually talking about this with the way that the drafts, I think, shaped up. Whichever team got a mid-game lead and got first team objectives was always going to have a good time. And it was Hanwha life every single time.
Yeah, and the way they flexed the Poppy in this draft for Peanut, this is a Peanut classic in terms of how he's going to play. And we'll talk about the rest of the draft a little bit, but like, look at that Poppy ult. Like, he was constantly removing key targets from team fights.
A question for you about the draft. If you cannot blow the enemy Ezreal's summoners almost the whole game, is that a compositional error or a gameplay error or both?
I think it was a little bit of both. I think that Viper played really well, and I also think they probably should have banned out the Ezreal or taken it away, right? The MF, I think, is way less dynamic. You know, when Viper is positioning like that, it's so difficult to get back to him, and they knew that, sure, the Vibe might be able to get them, but we're never going to allow the follow-up, so he's never going to have that threat. I think the bigger deal, though, was BLG was always late to the objectives. They're never the ones first there. They don't have vision. They're trying to force their way in. And all HLE needed to do was get a rejection from Poppy or put a little pressure on the corridor they're trying to walk through and secure the objective. It happened time after time after time until it was too late for BLG to do anything.
Yeah, and it got to the point where they did try to engage a fight, but as we see in our Hyper X Reflex replay, you have so many champions on the side of HLE that can respond, right? Because we see in this clip, watch Delight, because here, BLG go in, they think, okay, we've got Peanut, right? On goes in, sets up for the MF ult, but here we go. Delight immediately gets into the backline with this Alistar.
And then the follow-up from Viper is immediate, and that gives the Light now 2 of the, in my opinion, best individual engage plays. The previous one against Hanwha, or against Gen G rather. The Rel one also mind-bogglingly good.
And I want to return to this draft a bit because some things that came across, we had the Sylas first pick called out from Zeka. He's like, this is my champ. I'm first picking it on blue side. We had the Knight Ahri in response, like the Ahri Vi, great combination, has worked super well for BLG. Bin Rumble, not something he particularly likes to play despite having a win rate a really good win rate on it. He just played it last year at Internationals for the first time. But the big thing then is that they had the chance to pick the Ezreal, like you said, Azale, but they decided to take away the Rel. Delight still had an insane performance on the Alistar.
We can see BLG returning to the stage. They have selected blue side for game number 2. It's going to be exciting. I mean, 2 of these mid laners on their most iconic champions here in mid lane, battling it out. You know, Zeka throwing down the gauntlet. We got to see the response from the Knight Ahri. Look at these records. It's insane. Especially Knight on Ahri. 51-11.
I feel like we were kind of, I don't know. I expected more when I saw that they locked in their respective best champions or some off, right? But Zeka really took over. I mean, of course, it was the game state as well, but in the setup for Knight, you know, we want to see more. He's going to have to be able to put his footprints, his stamp on this best of 5.
And for me, back in 2022, it was all about the solo kills, but with the lane swaps, that's no longer an option, right? So much volatility is taken out, and I think that's the bloodiness that you were looking for, and I was hoping for it as well.
Yeah, let's see how it progresses here. It's awesome here in the Adidas Arena. It almost feels like they're cheering for your endless points. It's not, though. It's actually for the players. I won't take it back, but perhaps they are cheering for our casters. What do you think? Is this going to be 2-0 for HLE?
Oh, it's got to be 5 games.
I need 5 games.
It's got to be 5 games.
So bad.
Blue side's completely overpowered, so we've just got blue side, 5 games guaranteed, right? That's got to be it.
Yeah. I mean, the logic checks out.
I would like the red side team to win twice.
Okay.
Just, you know, if we're being picky.
you just want to have sides also.
Yeah, I don't want the sides to decide everything. I also want to see Yone and Aurora opened by HLE just to mix things up.
I like it.
Because, I mean, yesterday, actually, the team that was willing to open on red side, Aurora and Yone, was the team that actually won a game on red side with Weibo, because I feel like you're at such a draft disadvantage if you're actually locking 2 of your bans. So we'll see what ends up happening. The Poppy ban, chef's kiss needed, but it will look like we're going to see Aurora Yone, at least for this first red side game by HLE ban.
They almost have to come in together, right?
And I do agree. I think if you see one, it can't be without the other. The Sylas doesn't band away, but I think this does then put pressure onto Hanwha where they can't just immediately go for something like the Kai'Sa ban afterwards. Maybe that's their 3rd slot, but if you see an Ashe ban here on BiliBili, they are 100% setting up for that Kai'Sa first pick.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a reminder, even though they did switch sides, if we do see the target bans here by BLG of Poppy and Sylas, champions that were banned last game that won't be banned this game, HLE had Kai'Sa, Renekton, and Skarner as their bans, and then Aurora, Yone, Jax. So Jax, Kai'Sa, Renekton, Skarner. Renekton is banned, but that's 3 champions that we might see for the first time this series.
And the Renekton is actually the 2nd ban here coming out of HLE. They could, of course, just be staggering the Yone, keeping us on our toes, but they might leave it up. Who knows?
But that's the thing, right? So basically they're saying, hey, do you want to go for that Ashe ban? Because we could leave open Yone and suddenly we get the stronger bot lane here that we can try and play through. You have an 83% win rate on the Kai'Sa for Viper across the course of summer, so I'm super excited now to see how this one goes. He's going to be the Jax ban instead, so basically kind of not fully taking the base, but again, another Jax ban where Bin doesn't want to go towards it.
Yeah, another BLG Jax ban. I thought with them banning it red side, they were afraid of a takeaway from Doran, but that's a lot of respect for Doran, and I think they also don't want to be pinched in a situation where Yone gets left up and they give Jax over. But this is the gauntlet thrown down. And it also makes me think, like, what is the actual answer here? Skarner's open, so they're getting Skarner, and Zeka must just have something that he is comfortable with into this. Maybe a Kali?
Yeah, maybe, but I also think it's the opportunity to take something like the Ashe away and basically say, hey, look, we are guaranteeing ourselves both the strong jungler and the strong bot lane. We can play for picks. Yeah. The Ashe enables a Skarner incredibly well, and I think it's just a great setup here for Hanwha, but it's a case of how much can this Yone get done?
Well, the Skarner is going to be the lock-in here, of course, has been kind of the pride of the jungle at this point in time. That's just going to be a Gnar locked away. This means that the Yone pivot to top lane actually kind of feeling a little bit sexy as well.
It's possible, but I also think Gnar has just become a power pick here at the World Championship.
Yeah.
It was so dominant yesterday, huge priority today.
I think this sets up for a rumble on the opposite side, though. How often have we seen this Yone rumble
such
combo
a
come out
combo.
from LGL
Sejuani
teams,
too.
which could be absolutely sick, and we already just saw Bin played into the Gnar. Didn't look so hot in the course of, hey, how much impact did he really have? But I think that was just them struggling to set up for team fights more. This combo, though, is disgusting to play into.
We've seen it other times in the tournament, and it is being hovered for the moment. They're just making sure they get as much thinking time in as possible, but it does feel like an incredibly powerful top side of the map. Zeka's Akali, I heard he's pretty good at that one. There seems to be a skill that he has. I'm not entirely sure, but the Akali is getting a few reactions here out of the crowd. Zeka, where are you going to land? He was one of the earliest adopters of the Ahri since she had her mini rework a few years ago. Hovering it for the moment. The crowd not excited about it. Not even a little bit, as it is going to be locked in.
I'm underwhelmed.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of damage.
If you're going to give BLG that, I think you need something more than this on the other side. Just having Skarner and Gnar is nice, but comparing 3 to 3, BLG's champions are S tier.
Especially if you start to ban away a lot of these the AD carries as well that can just play awkwardly in that bottom side. In the fact they're banning Ashe is setting up for, again, maybe you get a Kai'Sa ban on the opposite side for BLG here, but then you're starting to, maybe you go for an Ezreal ban, maybe you try and force something like the Xayah and Rakan here for Viper and Delight on this bottom side, but overall it just feels like a little bit awkward for Hanwha with how much firepower they've given to BLG.
I think there are options on the bottom side of the map to try and alleviate it, right? Some of the classic mega hyper carries that just do massive amounts of DPS in the late game, thinking like Jinx on 4 items and things like that.
I think that's so hard into like a Yone
Absolutely.
rumble, right? Like it's really, really difficult to try and play with that much backline threat. And I think that's where you're going to struggle. I think as Viper, you do have to go either the Ezreal or the Xayah though, and I think you probably need to take it on this first rotation here, because I imagine one of those will be banned here by BLG.
Kai'Sa's insane too. I mean, Kai'Sa in BLG's team composition is so good. I thought we might see a bit of a snowball of bans here with Ashe baiting the Kalista ban, and then maybe like Kai'Sa and Ezreal being banned as well. But with Ezreal banned, that leaves Kai'Sa Xayah with both of them having decent things to pair off of, because Xayah can absorb the dive, Kai'Sa can be the dive.
But the thing is, I think you really would like to go Xayah Rakan for Viper and Delight, but On is a fantastic Rakan in his own right, so being able to remove that is going to be a bit of a hindrance to the Xayah, so they are just going to go back towards the Kai'Sa, and it'll be the Xayah and Rakan on the opposite side for BiliBili.
That's the trade.
Yep, and brings us back, doesn't it, to all those years past where it was Xayah versus Kai'Sa every single game. Hasn't quite been the same story, though. The bottom side of the map has been a little bit more up in the air, and it is going to be a purple combo here as the cow once again for Delight. This guy's pulverizers have been absolutely fantastic, but I'm looking at BLG, and one thing I think that you could say is that, range could be a little bit of a problem, but HLE don't have any either, so it's just kind of the best of every world here for this BLG draft that's looking absolutely terrifying.
Viper needs to play out of his mind in this game, though. With the Rakan jumping on him, the Sejuani, the Rumble, the Yone, there is so much that is swinging for this Kai'Sa, because if he drops, there is very little damage left in this Hanwha Live composition. So Peanut needs to beeline to bot lane and make sure that this snake is biting everyone come mid-game.
I will say, though, if Zeka wins this game, the amount of confidence that he has exuded in draft so far, first picking Sylas, going up against Knight's Ahri, and then saying, yeah, Yone, you can have it. I'm going to play that Ahri thing that you lost with in the last game. If he pulls that off, I don't know how BLG will recover.
And up against probably the most coveted pick in the tournament thus far in the Yone that Knight does have this time around. Let's see what does happen, though, moving into game number 2. I think most of us feel like it should be a BLG win, not just because of the draft, but because we want as many games as possible. That's going to even things out, bring us to that best of 3, guarantee at least 4 games here in this quarterfinal. BLG, I think, poised to get there with the draft that they have, but I don't think draft was all that relevant in game number 1. It was just about the gameplay, the control, that both teams were able to exert.
And it was the lack of control in team fights from BiliBili that really stood out. So often when you got that first Void Grub fight, complete whiff on a combo. Then you get into the later portion of the game, Peanut doing a phenomenal job of disrupting that combo with those Poppy ultimates. This is another composition that relies on teamwork, that relies on your team being together, and we're going to have to see if BLG can pull it off.
Well, let's jump onto the Rift and have a look at it. As Delight, you okay?
Yeah.
Okay there, buddy?
Oh, I was checking on our spectator. They were able to get a lot of damage down on him, but there were no summoner spells that ultimately had to be burned, so it's going to be a non-eventful move there. But now, because Alistar had to recall, it's allowing them time to move in for some deep vision.
Yeah, and HLE do have one less on the map, so a little bit of extra control. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, log in to your Riot Games account on lolesports.com and watch Worlds live to earn exclusive Worlds emotes, icons, and capsules. As thankfully, no one is going to die in that little skirmish in the mid lane. So HLE now just going to back away, clearing out some vision, having a look towards any lane swap shenanigans, and it looks like we have an affirmative on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yet another lane swap. The Alistar team, I think, pretty happy about this. HLE just planting him in mid lane very early on, hoping he gets level 2. If he gets level 2, they can then plant him and Gnar bot lane to prevent a wave stack dive.
The thing is, though, we haven't actually had a push from Hanwha in that top side right now. You can see Doran moving up there as Viper has gone into this into this jungle to try and push Shun off. Shun did manage to steal the blue buff, now on towards Wolves as well, so BLG going to be faster when it comes to the execution.
Yeah, Peanut going to move on over, smites away the big wolf. Doesn't get both of the little ones, but Shun only being able to walk away with one Merkwolf.
Peanut always trying some different form of pathing. He was so dominant in the LCK all year, being incredibly creative, and here goes Raptors to Wolves, steals away the Wolf, now takes Gromp, and then can clear up to the top side. And also, you can see Delight blocking a little bit of the path in his own jungle, so I really want to see how this continues to play out.
The thing is, though, because of the slow push and trying to push Shun out of the jungle, they're not actually in a position to look for the dive on towards this top side, so Bin getting to get a lot of this experience for himself. And you can see Delight has already shifted down towards this bottom side to potentially look for something, but Doran is still on top side.
Yeah, Peanut, Viper, and Doran, let's see whether they can make this one work, as Bin already flashing away.
Whoa.
Peanut just travels all the way out of there, hurls a rock backwards, and they get a flash, and they're happy with that.
Great job there by Bin, though. Gets all the experience, soaking up the CS. Meanwhile, plates and minions just getting obliterated on the other side. Teleport coming in, though, as Sejuani's on the way. Maybe a dive.
Yeah, you can see Delight was already waiting there, trying to make sure that he could protect these minions as Doran comes down to pick that one up. But 2 plates already going over to BLG, spelling a bit of a gold advantage already building up for them. Still, Doran will be able to get all the experience. That is, of course, the main thing. Missing out on a few minions at the beginning, but otherwise nothing to be too worried about. And now Zeka and Knight still battling. Charm going to be connecting here on to the Yone sword. I mean, it's so much back and forth between these two.
It looks like we will be getting this extended laning phase, though, with Kai'Sa staying on that top side. She wants to try and push in that lane, and Doran is moving, well, staying in this bottom side, and Delight is coming to join him, but on, putting him off.
Yep, Doran does have the hop available, so isn't going to be too worried. Does manage to get towards that level 4. And so far, no harm, no foul. Just a bit of an advantage given by almost purely plate gold. Like, that is the only gold that's providing the lead here for BLG. Everything else very, very even.
Overall, though, it means Delight's going to be able to avoid some of the early laning phase and get out of it. So you call this just a successful standard swap where you're sacrificing the plate gold for the experience.
Just say they did a lane swap, and now we're going to have the game.
Yep.
But, I mean, now we actually see Kai'Sa moving back down as Delight catches this wave. So the plate power will end at 2.
Yep, trying to buy some time for the cannon there as well. Very cute little headbutt just to try and see whether Viper can actually get down there and pick that one up. Knight does miss that cannon there. Jonas Strong would give a little zoom in from our observer team, but not going to get it this time around. Definitely some more important things to focus on here. Zeka with that teleport just now on cooldown. Knight the same thing. A lot of this damage can feel a lot more impactful in this mid lane, and I think so many are wondering whether Zeka is just in that Worlds form, right, that we learned about in 2022 and how dangerous it is, as now we're a bit distracted by Bin being caught out. The push away here from Peanut, and yes, the flash they picked up earlier, but is Doran going to survive? That's the question. The hyperproc comes down, and Bin just walks it off. It's Peanut that has to flash now, and BLG just stand their ground.
And that was one of the small advantages BLG did pick up in the lane swap, was Bin with the level advantage. 5-4. He's able to fight back against Hanwha and buy time for Shun to save him in that top lane play.
Gigabin.
Absolutely. And I thought that he was dead to rights. But there's a two-man pulverize here towards the bottom side of the map. Viper and On now doing battle. The Ignite to go down, sending a message there. As the
Doran.
sidestep from Bin is gorgeous. Shun's going to turn up. Doran knows that he's just dead. He misses the boomerang, doesn't get the auto. And oh dear, we've seen this Doran before, and it's not the positive one.
That was cooked. He wanted to try and make a big play. The wave was going to organically push back into him anyway. He could have collected the CS. He could have kept the game even, but he just went for it. Ends up giving over kill and assist gold. Losing this wave as well. The cannon's going to fall, and then a couple more minions likely. Big mistake there by Doran.
And Pino will get spotted out on this dragon as well, so... Oh, actually, I think they might go for the replay dive.
Oh, the equalizer goes down. Doran gets flashed on as well. There's the permafrost, and he's just dead again. This whole wave also destroyed, and Doran is just not in this game anymore.
That ward spotting out Pino was crucial there. The control ward sees him, and immediately BLG were like, we could go for the Void Grubs, or we could just take Doran out of this game entirely. A 1.1k gold lead for the Rumble.
That is actually game-ending if BLG can play this out. When that happens to your top laner, Peanut's trying to make a play, though.
Make his way down. Elk already having to flash here. Does have the blade caller. There's the heal as well. They've used everything. Knight is now rotating over. And they know they have to get out. Don't want to give him space for that ultimate, as now Zeka does get position, but the Void Grub's going over to BLG. They have a stranglehold now on this game.
And that play is also huge for BLG. That was a 3 versus 4, so all they wanted to do was delay the objective. They suffer no deaths. They pick up the grubs during
this is
it.
so cute. I don't believe they spotted Delight Hex splashing into the brush, or maybe they did. Not entirely sure.
It is crazy because bot lane is our Mercedes-Benz feature matchup, but we have not got a chance to talk about this at all the entire time because all that action has been top. But Delight and Viper have been doing a great job of punishing the Rakan, going for these engages. And look, the CS will be picked up to even out here, but it's definitely BLG on the back foot in this matchup.
Well, not right now in this game. As far as back foots are concerned, I think we're going to plant Hanwha Life Esports there. Elkanon just holding this wave here. You can see it's not a great lane state for HLE right now.
Keep your eyes on what Zeka's doing, though. Constantly just moving up towards this top side, threatening a potential dive with Peanut, or at least a play up on that top side with Peanut there. But at the moment, Bin is respecting it. But it does mean that, again, you can start to shift over towards things like Dragon for BLG if you want to, and start gaining these objective resources in your favor.
But look at all those wards that they have in the top side to protect Bin. Like, they know that the only way you slingshot this game back is if you kill him, and it's so high risk to actually move top lane. Peanut has a little bit of a look, clears one ward in the bush, doesn't even walk all the way into the river to clear the control ward. It looks stable for now for Doran, so if I was HLE, I definitely want to just play away from the Rumble and try and like ignore it for a little bit until you can actually have more equal power on the Rumble and the Gnar.
Yep, and we haven't really seen sort of an honest 5v5 just yet. May not be seeing it anytime soon as well, as Shun in position now. Try and throw out that Glacial Prison on, wanting to also lend a bit of a hand here. Littering the area with wards, as we can see. Some abilities going left and right. Mid lane is just going to be settling for now. Not exactly finding too much there, as we can see.
Yeah, I mean, a small bit there. On it actually hit a support item upgrade before Delight, so
Viper in a lot of trouble now. There's the grand entrance. Glacial Prison comes down. Decent cleanse there, but still has to use the summoner spell. This is half of his health bar, but otherwise everything is okay. Delight moving on over. That could be big, especially with, you know, grubs and everything else coming up very, very soon. There is the dragon already up and available here. BLG move over to take it.
On does need to try and soak a little bit of experience to take over to level 6, and I wasn't sure if that's the timing window that BLG were maybe going to look for that play on towards Viper, but I think it will be a case of hit 6, then use all these ultimates when they come back up to target Viper. And again, lack of damage on Hanwha Life when this Kai'Sa is taken off the board.
And BLG was so good at playing with tempo last game. They are seemingly even better now, and the big thing, they're gaining so much tempo when they have moments like we saw before when they actually pushed HLE off Drake while undermanned while they were taking grubs. And since they have such a point of pressure here top lane with Rumble, they're also able to play as if they have him this entire time, because if there ever is a double TP in, they're going to immediately be at that advantage because Rumble is so much stronger. So they're just leveraging this power that they have across the entire map to grow their lead.
You can see Doran, not a whole lot of money As we can see here, Ben just extracting all of it from his pockets. And he is very, very powerful right now. Charm going to connect there on tonight. Not exactly consequential at this point in time.
It is a very early reset from the Hanwha Life bot lane, though. I think they're trying to set up for some sort of potential play in the enemy jungle here off of Doran, but Doran now hitting his Mega Gnar will kind of put a little bit of a dampener on that, but still, Peanut moving up. I think you look for On or someone, maybe even this mid lane, as they try and set up for the Void Grubs in 20 seconds.
Yeah, we can see Zeka actually able to lay down a fair bit of harassment here on towards Knight. Might give them a little bit of an inroad into making something happen on these Grubs in 14 seconds time. As we can see, some vision up and available now. Peanut trying to clear out as much as he can as Viper and Delight get into position.
I think it's so hard to contest this. They did just get Malignance onto the Ahri, though, so that might be the item that gives them confidence. But with Locket on the Sejuani, BLG is so strong right now.
Yep, teleport immediately coming back. The Rumble on the bottom side of the map is giving HLE some sort of confidence here. As On's going to get tagged. There's a headbutt pulverize. As Peanut not quite able to grab him, does head over towards Shun now. Pretty tanky. And now the charm comes in. There's the knock-up. They look to blow them up at Knight into the impale, but it does not matter. The damage had already happened. Peanut now in the back of this pit, just wanting to get out if he can. He's not going to be able to. Delight just hightails it out of there. And that should be 6 Grubs and a teamfight win for BLG.
And this is just a completely different BLG. They're the ones that are set up first on the objective, and I gotta say, what is HLA thinking? This was such an easy setup by BLG. Rumble was ready to teleport. He was always going to be stronger. They wash HLE out of this fight.
And they thought that maybe they had a chance trying to fight that, but BLG, they had already burnt that cleanse. Immediately turn on towards Viper, and they thought that they might have had this push coming up river with the Ahri that they could look for a play, but you can see where Yone is. He already cuts off the Ahri coming through, so now they turn on towards Shun, who's completely fine, but On sees his moment as they step forward, we're back into it.
Yeah, another battle here as Doran getting burnt down. Elk not going to be diving a turret anytime soon. Not wanting to put that Feather Storm on cooldown, so they are just going to back away, but Doran is absolutely a punching bag this game, as we call it in the LCK, the orange buff of the top lane.
Oh, they want more, though. There's still plates up. They want to collect. They have 6 Grubs, so just a few hits can mean so much. And playing from ahead is BLG's specialty. When they're able to get early game advantages, what happened domestically through a lot of laning phases, they can accelerate the game so fast because they're still willing to play high-risk League of Legends, so they'll be in places where you don't expect them to be. But with the Yone, Sejuani, Rumble, their ability to create and force fights from ahead is massive.
How's the fact you just started to see all those first items completed? Essence Reaver, Blade of the Rune King. Oh yeah. Here in fighting form here is BiliBili, and they want to put the hurt onto Hanwha. HLE trying to use that moment where they reset though to get pressure on towards topside. But Bin just easily clears out this wave. Didn't have to even invest the ultimate that's about to pop up in a second. And with 40 seconds until that Rift Herald's up, it's actually Elk who's on the bottom side clearing out these waves. So it may be a Rift Herald trade for that bottom tier 2 that BLG are actually looking for.
Might be able to get there. I do really like how BLG have just been sitting back, right? They've been taking the advantages that Hanwha Life Esports are giving them and then not pressuring overly much. Some of the games that we've seen from BLG previously this year have certainly been a lot more fast and loose. This does feel like the BLG that absolutely dominated the playoffs here in summer. And this is so far away from what we saw the rest of this tournament.
And the disappointing thing is this big draft gambit, this story of giving Yone for this Ahri counter, that's not the reason that any of this happened. The reason that this has happened is because Bin has just taken advantage of Doran along with Shun, and that has snowballed throughout the map, and HLE has made several really risky kind of panic plays to try and correct that differential, but it's just made things worse.
Well, now you can see Viper moving on over. There's a headbutt pulverize only onto Shun, though, hit by the charm, but now On, he gets his way in there. Knight looking to just return the favor onto Zeka. He's not allowed to play the game this time around. Ahri's just not allowed to have fun. And BLG, they'll just grab 2 right as the dragon is spawning.
Okay, that one looked like the Yone. I feel like Yone was the difference in that fight because that was a good ridiculous. Ahri is just dead this whole series. Whether you're dead against Poppy or whether you're dead against the Yone, not even allowed to play the game.
And it's the fact that BLG are able to play so aggressive with this composition as well. The reason Yone is so broken is he can play like an assassin, dive in onto the backline, but has a ton of safety being able to go back to his soul. Same when you look at Elk, he always has the flash, has that ultimate available. He can follow up and fights incredibly well. So when Delight has to engage onto the front line of BLG, it's very easy for BLG to turn it around. Now it's pressure on the bottom side. That tower will fall to these minions, and the rotation now back up towards that top side as well. You can see in the MasterCard lane economy snapshot just how much gold BLG is growing here.
Yeah, this is an absolute shellacking in the making here. 4,000 gold is the lead here for BLG, but they're also just taking everything on the map. You can see 0 grubs, 0 dragons, 0 anything that HLE have been able to get for themselves. And Yone is going to be able to grab a Rift Herald as well. So complete monopoly achieved on all of the neutral objectives. And now Peanut looking for some sort of angle here towards the bottom side of the map. But I think even on should be enough support here to keep Knight safe.
I think so as well. They get good vision. Support more people out.
Unless everyone comes down.
But at the same time, they're pressuring other parts of the map right away. Xayah was able to shove in mid lane. They're threatening Doran off the top turret once again, so that's then pulling resources up from HLE. The most impressive thing for me by BLG this game is the way that their aggression is measured.
Yeah.
They're still deathless, but they've controlled every objective. And as I say that, they pull off another big play.
Yeah, that is going to be just a blade caller to keep Peanut in his tracks, and they're not able to do anything. Of course, getting the Featherstorm, a big deal if there is going to be a potential fight that HLE are in any position to win, but I don't know whether there's going to be any of those.
But I think this tempered play is coming a lot through Yone. Question marks why he was brought back into the team, but against G2 he's showing up and now again.
Oh, the equalizer does go down, but Zeka is here to try and defend Doran. It's just going to be a kill in the 2v1, and Ben's looking to scrap shield as well. It's Zeka that has to flash to pick it up, and now he may not even be safe. Knight and Yone making their way up to try and get revenge for their top laner, but it's already a 1-for-1. The ulti's going to connect now. It's in melee range. I don't think this Ahri's going to have a very good time at all. Spirit Rush comes out, but caught by the knock-up. Just ban Yone.
You cannot go up against Ben, but in the mid.
All right, Elk might be going down this time. No Featherstorm this time around, as there's the flash out of the Blade Core. They needed everything to kill him, but at least they get that.
So even if they lose this game, Viper's still incredible.
He's really good,
He's still able to do whatever he wants. He's going to have to execute here, and this is actually what it takes for HLE to get 2 kills. It's not even a positive play. No. They lost 3 people when all is said is done. They lost their inner tier 2. Objective bounties just turned on as a result of that play. So the best thing that HLE did this game was still gold negative.
And the fact that Ben is a level up 1,000 gold, you can see just how much damage he does. And he does a really good job of getting away from this position. The ultimate onto Doran is in a great spot. The scrap shield is perfect, but this is what we're talking about. When you have an Ahri, she lacks that crucial damage.
Yeah.
So the fact that Ben is able to turn on towards Doran, because Doran lacks damage as well, means he just barely gets in. And BLG, after getting the mid lane, are able to move up and catch out Zeka. Knight looking great on this Yone.
Yeah, insult to injury as well. Zeka gets the dash interrupted.
And then Viper dies to Rumble as well, so Ben just picks up another kill. Like, it is a disaster.
Yeah, double masks now completed here for Ben. He is very, very scary. At least Doran does now complete his Trinity Force. Why I even really needed to mention it, because to be perfectly honest, he is so far behind, doesn't even really feel like an item spike anymore. Zeka heading towards item number 2 as quickly as he possibly can. The light coming on over. Still haven't seen an honest 5v5 team fight just yet, and we may not for the rest of this game. There should be nothing to force BLG into doing it, as now Headbutt Pulverize. He's going to connect on to Elk. Blade Caller comes through. Delight with that ultimate running is looking okay, but there's the red carpet put down. Doran, can you get to the Mega Gnar? That's the question, but already the fight might just be over. The Gnar only won, even though he was surrounded, and it's Knight that collects another kill. 5-0-1 on this Yone.
What are you supposed to do as Hanwha? The objective isn't even up, and your entire bottom side jungle has just been taken over by BLG. Their team fighting is really coming alive with this style of composition.
And Max,
yes,
there will be no honest fight. It can never be fair with this level of income inequality. Yeah, I think we've learned that from society, but it's definitely present in this game.
And the funny thing was, this is a very reminiscent of this Worlds last year when BLG played up against Gen G. Game 2 was very heavily BLG favor, but they want to change it here as Hanwha.
Well, Viper's flanking. I don't know whether that's a good thing, but maybe it's going to work out here. The killer instinct is exactly that, as Elk is going to go down first, but it's a straight of 80 carries into the back line of the Dragon Pit goes Shun, and now he's looking to try and lock down the cow. They've rebuilt the Phalanx. The triple knock from Knight is absolutely gorgeous.
Okay.
They still managed to take him down though, and there's a wallop from Doran. The team fighting Gnar may have actually found something here as Peanut is looking to push Bin away. The wallop is going to connect. What is happening? This should not be happening.
Hanwha saw no ultimates on BLG. They said, this is our moment. We need to go. And Hanwha find the perfect fight with seconds remaining on some of these ultimates.
Objective bounty collected as well. Viper started it all by being able to take Elk down with the income discrepancy, and then it was the Yone who flew into the Mega Gnar. So let's watch this one more time. BLG is overstaying because they feel like they can, but it was the charm actually from Zeka that gets Elk down low enough for Viper to execute in the first place, and then really just amazing Mega Gnar timing, and Zeka kept getting Ahri ult reset, so Doran hits Mega right there, one shot to the Yone.
Crucial charm from Zeka as well on towards Knight.
Yeah.
Could have gone back with his E, but the charm into the Doran knock around. But BLG, we're on Baron.
Okay, we're just going to do a Baron. I guess that whole fight from before is just not even real. And now with a purple buff onto 5 members of BLG, they should be able to just completely reclaim entire control of the game. And of course, it's one Infernal Drake for HLE that they're able to pick up. Of course, Bounty Gold is nice. But the map still belonged to BLG.
You're saying that last Drake fight was just a big red herring.
It did feel a bit herringy, yeah.
Yeah, interesting, because you're right, the gold lead is probably bigger now
I think
than it was before the fight.
Especially with this inner turret going down, as you can see with our Rebel Baron power play, that will extend to about 2k. 2.2, in fact. There's now some defense of these inhibitor turrets going to have to come on through. 4 members in the mid lane, though I don't think they're saving that one as Knight is probably dead. The flash has to be used. There's a max range impale. It is going to be the turret going down. And so they still lose that. However, Humalive back on the map now.
Zeka TP'd in after killing a turret.
Don't know about that one. On the equalizer now, but the Spirit Rush is up and available, and he's able to dash his way out. That teleport almost was his death, and at least he survives his own teleport.
It will buy a little bit of time for Hanwha on this Rebel Baron power play, but realistically, it's only just buying them time. They don't get anything off of this. All the turrets will still remain standing, but it does at least keep BLG from knocking open the base any more than it already has.
I think now we can have a conversation about the psychology of an absolutely, boom game.
Yes.
Which is what this is, right? HLE, I could imagine, after about 10 minutes in, probably knew that there was going to be a low likelihood of them being able to pick up a win. If you're able to get these little advantages, find these little team fights, is extending the game because of that a good thing? Because you have to stay in this doomed game? Or is it a bad thing? I don't know what's actually better for your mentality moving into a game 3 at even stakes.
I think it depends if you can spook the other team. So the favorite thing I always have is you just decide that there's 1 or 2 people that you want to kill. So you just want to try, because they have a burst comp, right? They have a pick comp. So if they just decide, let's just try and kill Elk, or let's just try and kill Knight, that gives you a very small chance of actually turning the game around, and a very small chance of just frustrating the other team enough that they can't make a clean play. So I think for the experienced teams, just making it last as long as humanly possible, just to annoy the other team, is usually the right play.
Well, we'll see whether HLE can annoy them as they knock on their front doors. Inhibitor turret here towards the bottom side going to be next on the menu here for BLG. But you can see HLE still pushing them away. Baron buff still up for another 30 seconds, a little bit less than that. BLG will just slink back into the enemy jungle. Look to find another point of attack. We have to remember as well that both of these teams need Baron to get any sort of siege happening. We mentioned already that there's about 0 range, and so sieging these turrets ain't great, but there's a Pulverize onto 2. Featherstorm has to be used very, very early on, but Elk is still alive. The equalizer goes down. Not the most massive value, but that Blade Caller was gorgeous. The ulti to come through. The Impale is decent as well, and it's Viper that's now trying to pop off in this fight. Somehow, it's actually a 1-for-1, but Doran might be a bit more valuable than On.
The fact that Elk was able to get that Featherstorm off was crucial. Everyone in Hanwha was colliding with him on that point, but without him being CC'd, Viper couldn't ult in. Then the ultimate from Bin buys space so the Kai'Sa can't actually get into the fight, and BLG get a moment to rally and push back Hanwha, but still an incredibly close fight there.
And I think HLE is really impressing me with their team fighting from this level of deficit. And I think I'll need to see it again but the Gnar Skarner frontline is buying a massive amount of space because they get what would be a good engage until it gets dodged by Elk, and you think, okay, now they're going to lose the fight, but no one can actually get through to Viper or Zeka this entire fight.
And Shun actually saved that for BLG. It could have been so much worse. The interruption with the Arctic Assault so that Doran couldn't get into the backline. That might have been a one fight for HLE from an 8,000 gold deficit that has now been shrunk.
But now there's no flash on Elk. He becomes a very susceptible target. Knight does have the QSS available. And as we set up here once more, Zeka on his side with Delight. Someone needs to mark him. It looks like Bin's going to be that call.
Well, this is not going to be Soul, but Soul Point available for BLG if they are able to lock this one down. HLE setting up for a bit of a battle. Bin in that fog of war. They have control vision almost everywhere. Pulverize now on cooldown, unable to battle dance his way out of there. Peanut, can you actually get anything done? The Mega Gnar coming on through. It's Shun that's able to lock down the smite, but can they win the battle? That's the question. As into the backline they go, there's the charm onto Zeka, and they blow up the Ahri yet again. Another double pulverize though is now on there to try and help. Shun trying to get out of there, and he should be able to do so. Top lane is doing better. Viper gets into the backline and just execute Shun. Bin is so strong though. Peanut could not stand up to him, and as we go back, it's Viper doing the Owen Wilson impression behind enemy lines, looking to keep himself alive.
It's the TP mid though. Knight and Bin are looking to end the game. Viper will die to On.
Yeah, done with the shenanigans. Done with the shenanigans indeed. And BLG, they'll be taking down these Nexus turrets. HLE were trying to make these fights close, but in the end, the wallets will descend, and BLG will bring us to an even series and a best of 3 for the semifinals.
BLG fight back. Giga Bin for me in this game. He dominated Doran in the top lane early here. Blue side each take a game, and this is going to be a hell of a series.
Just an incredible performance from Shun as well. Controlling that early game, getting those leads for Bin, dictating the pace of that bot lane. This guy, when he's not being knocked away by Poppy, is having a fantastic time.
Oh, he's looking absolutely incredible. And the level of that last team fight as well, both teams knowing exactly what they need to do. Man, we are going to go to a short break. When we get back, everyone's going to break that one down, and we'll have game number 3. Do not go anywhere, don't you dare.
Red Bull gives you wings.